Hi everyone, Asaf here, California employment attorney. Today's topic is going to be about the pandemic unemployment assistance, and that is essentially unemployment assistance for self-employed individuals here in California. This is a new program. It was announced fairly recently, and today, April 28th, 2020 is the first day that people can actually begin applying for this. So I just wanted to make a quick video explaining what it is so that those that normally wouldn't apply for unemployment insurance because they hadn't worked for someone or hadn't been a W-2 employee wouldn't have been able to obtain unemployment as a result of COVID-19. This particular form of assistance it allows that. So what it is that it's part of the Federal CARES Act that had recently come out. This program, it's aimed to help unemployed Californians who are business owners or self-employed in another respect, independent contractors, or if they just have a limited work history and not normally eligible for regular unemployment insurance benefits. If they're out of business or services, or if their services are significantly reduced as a result of the pandemic, this is supposed to assist them, okay? So first things first is how to apply. The best way to do it is to go online, and that's at the link, which I will provide in the description, but it's generally over on the EDD's website through UI Online. It can be done over the phone, but that's not necessarily recommended. And since this is really new, a lot of people may not know if they do or do not qualify. If they have questions, they should call this 833 number. When to apply, that would be the first day that they're accepting applications would be today, April 28th, 2020. Now, in order to be eligible for the PUA, basically the Californians may qualify if they're unemployed, partially unemployed, or unable to work, or unavailable to work due to a direct result of a COVID-19 related reason, which I will get to in the next two slides, and one of the following. So, number one, if the individual is a business owner, self-employed, or independent contractor, or gig worker, and are not otherwise participating in some sort of unemployment insurance elective coverage program. That just means that even though you were a gig worker or an independent contractor, you were still paying into unemployment insurance. If that's the case, you should apply for that through the traditional route, okay? Individuals who do not have sufficient work history. So these are people who don't have enough wages reported as an employee during the last 18 months, for example, who otherwise would not be eligible for unemployment insurance or were denied or given a letter that they have $0 in benefits. They could apply for PUA to see if they're eligible. And then finally, if this is a catch-all, and well, not really a catch-all, but this is another category that's unique, is individuals who have for some reason collected all their unemployment benefits which they were eligible for and still remain unemployed, partially unemployed as a result of a COVID-19 reason. For this last one, I think it's one that whoever is applying should contact the EDD at that new hotline, that 833 number, and see whether or not what they can get and how long they can get it for, because the timing would be reduced. So the amount of time that they will be eligible to get benefits as a result of having previously received benefits would be cut shorter than someone, for example, who was self-employed and never had received UI benefits before. So these are the COVID-19 related reasons that are listed on the EDD website, and I will go ahead and also put a link to the frequently asked questions which have these reasons on the EDD's website. So if, for example, someone's been diagnosed with COVID-19 or are experiencing the COVID-19 symptoms and are seeking a medical diagnosis. So that just means if you're diagnosed with it, or if you are waiting for your test results or something like that. And the second one is if individual is unable to work because a healthcare provider has advised the individual to self-quarantine as a result of COVID-19. These days, it's fairly, in California at least, testing is more readily available, but this reason would come up if, for example, someone was not able to get tested because there was a lack of tests and the healthcare professional put them on quarantine because out of concern for public safety. Number 3 is if a member of the individual's household has been diagnosed with COVID-19, and as a result of that, maybe now they could potentially be carrying it, so they should be in quarantine. Number 4 is if the individual is providing care for a family member or member of the household who's been diagnosed with COVID-19. So if someone who is ill or has to quarantine and they're depending on the individual for care, they could qualify for PUA benefits. Number 5 is if a child or another person in the household that the individual has a primary caregiving responsibility to is not able to attend school or some other facility that is supposed to take care of the child or dependent or what have you. And as there's a direct result, and that place is closed, for example, the school is closed as a result of COVID-19, and as a result of that, the individual can't work, then the individual could qualify for PUA benefits. Reason number 6 is if the individual became the breadwinner or the major supporter of the household because that household has died as a direct result of COVID-19. This is a unique one. I haven't seen this one yet. I'm not particularly sure how broad this is, but it seems pretty specific. Number 7 is if they had to quit the job as a result of COVID-19. So perhaps it was too dangerous to continue working. Number 8 is if the place of employment closed as a direct result of COVID-19. Whether the business went out of business, or maybe there's someone who works in the beauty industry and it's a hair salon, a barber shop, a massage parlor or something, and they're unable to work. Number 9 is if the individual was scheduled to start a job that's not unavailable as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. Number 10 is if they're unable to reach the place of employment as a direct result of a COVID-19 public health emergency. Also a pretty specific one. And then finally, this one applies to independent contractors with reportable income, more geared toward people who are like gig workers, people Uber, Lyft, Postmates, but also anyone who essentially receives a 1099, is that they may qualify for PUA benefits if they're unemployed or partially unemployed or unavailable to work because of the COVID-19 public health emergency has limited their ability to earn income. I suppose that this would apply to rideshare, folks that offer rideshare services, Uber, Lyft. It's reduced dramatically and they're generally unable to do that or are making a fraction of that. So that's why they've put that there. And so these are the COVID-19 related reasons that are outlined. Now, in terms of the benefit amounts, they're going to be rolling this out over time. Right now, they've essentially only outlined how initial payments would work and initial payments of what individuals can expect to receive, hopefully soon, within a week or so, or maybe even a few days, depending on the volume of applications received, is what it's said on the ED website. But the initial payments they can be retroactive. So it's $167 per week for each week from February 2nd to March 28th, 2020, if the individual has been unemployed due to a COVID-19 related reasons, if they meet all the particular reasons outlined in the slides before. 167 plus the additional $600 per week, which is provided by the CARES Act for each week from March 29th, 2020 to July 25th, 2020. And thereafter, 167 per week for each week from July 26, 2020 to December 26, 2020, if the individual is unemployed due to a COVID-19 reason, plus they meet the reasons, they meet they're the type of individual, business owner, independent contractor and whatnot, who is unemployed due to a COVID-19 related reason. And so that would be up to a total of 39 weeks, which was another thing that was expanded by the federal government. Normally in California, unemployment insurance benefits only go for up to 26 weeks, but this expanded that. One caveat is that if an individual has already received any weeks of regular unemployment insurance or extended UI benefits, then that would cut it shorter. So you don't necessarily, they don't stack. The maximum that someone could get is 39 weeks. So if someone had gotten 7 weeks, for example, before, then they would only be able to collect 32 weeks and so on. And that's something that anyone who wants to apply for this particular benefit should discuss with the EDD, with that call center. And with respect to additional payments, because obviously $167 per week isn't that much, especially for those who really have no income as a result of this pandemic, that amount could be increased. So they haven't necessarily explained how it's going to go forward yet, but individuals are going to have an opportunity to certify their prior income on the application, and then the EDD is going to establish some kind of procedure to determine if an increase to the weekly PUA benefit amount is appropriate after they receive the initial amount. And any increase from that amount is going to apply retroactively. It's not particularly clear yet, but I believe that the maximum benefit amount is still going to be $450 per week, and that's notwithstanding the additional $600 from the CARES that the federal government CARES Act provides for the limited number of weeks where individuals can receive it between the end of March and the end of July. So that's just a quick overview of this. I hope that it answered some questions for individuals that don't otherwise qualify for unemployment insurance benefits, and if there are any questions, please feel free to reach out via email or phone, and thanks for tuning in.